Okay. I don't want to jinx it, right? Okay, so we have quite a few items, and we can move on, and let's see. Well, let's just go through the consent and continuances first. Item 2, we can continue for 1 month. Item 3, we can move on consent, see no cards. Item 4, we can continue with 1 week. For applicants and CD5's concurrence. 5 and 6, we have cards. 1, we have a special. So can we move on those items, Councilmember?
Yes.
Thank you.
You meant 5, right?
Yes, 5 and 6, we have cards. We have specials on those. And we just moved on 2, 3, and 4. So we do have item number 1 left. We have staff for item number 1. Roberto, you want to read it?
Yeah, item 1, council members, is a motion, Reyes Rosenthal. It's asking planning and DOT, in essence, to provide recommendations in a letter relative to the regional housing needs assessment.
Do we have the letter prepared already? Do we know? Like the staff come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is Naomi Guth with the Department of City Planning. We, at a late hour, distributed to you just now is a memo from our department. The attachment is a draft letter. Just to briefly walk through, this item concerns whether the City of Los Angeles is interested in accepting delegation of the RHNA process from SCAG. The RHNA process starts with the state Department of Housing and Community Development comes up with a regional housing needs assessment figure for the 6-county SCAG region. SCAG in turn takes that number and distributes that housing need across all the cities. The issue of delegation is cities within the SCAG region can form their own sub-regional entity. SCAG will give that sub-regional entity a number, and amongst themselves they figure out how to distribute the number. So they do their own thing. SCAG handles the balance of the SCAG region. We accepted delegation and partnered with the City of San Fernando for the last RHNA cycle. We contacted them. San Fernando City is interested once again, and they're prepared to submit a letter of intent to SCAG. Our recommendation then is that the Plum instruct the Department of City Planning to go ahead with submitting a letter of intent to SCAG, and in the course of the next 30 days, prepare a report back to you with the pros and cons of delegation and then a recommendation.
Great, and I want to thank you for your diligence and moving on this. And Councilor Huizar, this is one of those opportunities where we have some flexibility, some options. With this letter, it gives, we're not committed yet, but it gives us the flexibility to move in a direction that, should we exercise it, we can deliver that level of coordination with San Fernando. Would that be accurate?
Yes, the letter of intent is non-binding. It just puts SCAG on notice so they can start to do some of their planning ahead, but we would be in contact with them through the process.
And this gives the City of LA, that has, it's the biggest city in Southern California, the ability to participate on the discussion of how regionally formulas are being established when we deal with housing needs, assessments, and allocations, correct?
Yes. What's discussed regarding delegation, one of the biggest advantages that's always discussed is that cities who share interests can take charge of their own housing needs. So we're not subject to kind of the 6-county broader, how should this need be distributed? We can think about it for ourselves, amongst ourselves, and not be subject to decisions or interests of other entities.
Right. So I thank you for that. And I see Mike out there from the Department of Transportation. Anything you want to ask, Mike? Anything else you want to add? You're fine?
Just instructing to do the sign letter by the time.
So if we could do the signed letter before it gets to council, is that possible?
That's correct. SCAG does not need authority of the City Council in order to submit this letter of intent. It's actually anticipated to be a staff level sort of letter. If the city does want to pursue delegation and accept delegation, we need to go to City Council and get a resolution that authorizes us to execute a delegation agreement.
Okay. Roberto, I see you're smiling over there.
Yes, we would request that when you send the motion to the council member, that the letter be ready as well, that the council be able to see the letter instead of staff merely sending the letter on behalf of the department.
Okay. So can we get that done? The letter's here already, the draft. There should be no problem. So we'll have the letter attached to our motion, correct?
Yes.
Can we do that? Okay.
Certainly, there's,
That'll be the directive. Okay, thank you. Mike? All right.
Just a clarification, as we talked about in a meeting last, Miles Mitchell, LADOT. If we also need, and I know planning knows this, and Naomi, and they've contacted San Fernando, but San Fernando also has to send a letter.
Right,
If they don't send a letter, then our letter is moot.
right.
So I know that you're following up with.
But I think we're hearing the CLA say, for the sake of the councils and making the informed decision, he's recommending, I agree with him, to have the letter already written, just so they can know what we're sending. That's his point, right, Roberto?
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, there's no problem in terms of meeting SCAG requirements, that it be approved by our council before we send it. That's absolutely okay. San Fernando has told us already that they will be sending the letter.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
very
think we're
much.
fine.
Okay, so let's get to number 5. We have staff here for 5. We do have a,
Yes, item 5, council member is an appeal by Pat Castaneda, and she's appealing the decision of the Planning Commission, which disapproved a conditional use for a recycling center in CD6.
Chairman Reyes, members, I'm Daniel Scott, Department of City Planning. On June 24, 2010, the City Planning Commission disapproved a conditional use request to permit a buyback center on Ratner Street in Sun Valley. The Commission found that the location of the buyback center would be materially detrimental to the character of development in the immediate neighborhood. The proposed location is within 500 feet of an elementary school, the Sun Valley Park, and a liquor store. The Commission found that the buyback center complied with almost all of the municipal code provisions, but thought that social issues associated with patrons to the recycling center would jeopardize the neighborhood. The Commission's action was subsequently appealed. Staff's original recommendation report to the Commission was to approve the conditional use request, so staff can make the appropriate findings today should the committee wish to grant the appeal. Thank you.
okay. So we have an appellant here, Dan? We have an appellant? Okay. Can the appellant forward, please? Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please give us your name and
My name
address.
is Pat Castañeda.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
welcome. You'd like to make a statement?
My English is somewhat bad.
Oh, what language do you speak?
Spanish.
¿Nos hablamos en inglés y español? Ok. Si nos puede dar, siente confortable hablando en inglés, en por qué está aquí y por qué está
Ok.
contra el proyecto. I just said, would you feel comfortable
quiero-
speaking English?
Okay.
¿Prefieres español?
Okay.
Okay. Roberto, you going to translate?
Sure.
Okay. Él va a traducir para usted. Por favor.
It's better for me. Sorry. Estoy aquí, quiero poner el recycling ahí en esa propiedad.
I'm here, and I'm in favor of a recycling center at the property.
Porque veo muchas personas que van caminando hasta 3 millas para ir a otro continente que está hasta la Sherman Way.
I see a lot of people walking to another recycling center on Sherman Way, and they walk a long distance.
Ya, mi hija tiene en el siguiente building una tienda de Party Supply, entonces
¿Una tienda de qué, señora?
Party Supply,
¿De cómo?
Party Supply.
Body supply? Okay.
The next
Party supply.
Party supplies.
Yeah,
Oh.
please.
She says that her daughter owns a business, party supply business next door to the recycling center.
It's okay.
¿Es todo? Gracias.
¿Es todo? That's it? Okay, gracias. ¿Y su nombre otra vez?
Pat Castañeda.
¿Y el domicilio?
14818 San Fernando Mission, allá vivo.
Okay. Okay, gracias.
Mission Hill.
Okay. We have with us Mike O'Gara and Monica Vacas. Come on up, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike O'Gara. I've lived in Sun Valley for 73 years, since 1973, but I'm at 9301 Cayuga Avenue. It's difficult to stand before you today to ask you to turn down this appeal. The applicant has assured us that he's willing to accept many conditions that we would want imposed on any facility of this type. This man has property here in Sun Valley and wishes to maximize his investment, and we're very much in favor of this. The Sun Valley Area Neighborhood Council considers itself to be business friendly, but we like some businesses better than others. For too long, Sun Valley has received a preponderance of businesses that would not be welcome on Rodeo Drive. Here we have wandered into a quandary. In the interim, since this appeal was filed, we've had a Payless Market that sells recyclable cans and bottles also file an application for another recycling facility. It's about a block away from this one. We've been advised that there's nothing that can be done about that application. It's a fait accompli, it's a by right use. If today's appeal is upheld, Sun Valley will have 2 recycling facilities in a block and a half of a very sensitive area, which is the Sun Valley Park at Lawrence Street and Vineland Avenue. It's a sensitive area because the area around the park, including across the street from this very project, has a relatively high number of homeless overnighting here. During the daytime, they spread out in the park. They sleep all around the park. Residents of the area, mothers actually, have approached the neighborhood council and told us they're afraid to let their children play in the park because of the presence of these homeless and the presence of 80 occupants of a rehabilitation house who also use the park for recreation, plus some people who we describe as gangbangers from 2 known gangs. We're trying to reclaim our park for the children. We're also concerned that the perennial and transient homeless population will increase crime in the area. Some of these crimes will be against the homeless themselves when some factions of the homeless rob others of the money they've obtained from the cans. You all know that there's very little the police can do to remove the homeless out of an area. I'm hopeful you will turn down this appeal. One of the criteria the Neighborhood Council considers in deliberating land use projects is, will this enhance our neighborhood? This business at this time in this location is not beneficial to our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There were 21 homeless in the park today, and it's a very small park.
Thank you, sir. Monica Vacas.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Vacas. I live at 10227 Lanark Street, Sun Valley, California, 91352. I am chairperson of the Planning and Land Use Committee for the Sun Valley Area Neighborhood Council. And I've come here just to repeat what all has been said. Ms. Castaneda appealed for the fact that there was not going to be a close-by recycling center. With the Payless store applying for a recycling permit, that would satisfy her need of a close-by recycling center. We want our park back. My goal here today is to tell you that we need our park back, and we don't have it. We have lost our park. We have a major job ahead of us to try to get these homeless help or somehow fix this problem. I'm not saying that recycling centers attract homeless, but you see them a lot in recycling centers. This is where they get some money. We have 3 liquor stores surrounding the park, the recycling center if it comes up, and this is where the homeless are found urinating. I happen to have a very graphic picture of one, broad daylight. Just so happened I was there with my camera, and there he is. It aggravates me. We want our park back. I'm not saying not to have the recycling center. Give us time to fix it, to fix the problem we have right now. This recycling center might just make it that much harder for us. I want the park back for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baca. Daniel Skolnick? Those are the only cards I have.
Thank you, council members. My name is Daniel Skolnick. I am planning deputy to Councilmember Tony Cardenas, District 6. As you can see, this has been a very difficult issue to deal with, and we thank you for your accommodation with this appeal. We also thank the department for a very thoughtful staff report. Specific to this site, the council member would like to amend the hours of operation slightly. We have operations starting at 8. We'd like to amend it to 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday, and 10 to 3 on Sunday. So it would limit operation to only daytime hours. Regarding the site, it does follow CDO guidelines. It's consistent with the plan. And it's owned by a stakeholder with a significant history with this community, owning 7 parcels, and they are good-looking parcels, some of the best in that community, and of course has a history with the city. We are going to request a 1-year plan approval as well, and the landowner, Mr. Sampson, has agreed to list his number on the site if there's problems for the community to call him if there are any issues associated with that site. Now, regarding the park, just as an informational piece, the council office has been addressing that. Today, staff from LASA was on site in the park surveying the issue. The council member had a meeting with concerned citizens last week regarding the conditions there. The park is part of the Summer Night Lights program and also the home of a new business watch, a budding business watch. So I just want to state for the record, the council office is aware of the issues off of this site at the park nearby.
So is there a dialogue between? Is there a dialogue? Excuse me. Is there a dialogue between yourself and Ms. Vacas and the land use committee she represents?
Indeed, yes. I'm working with the Sun Valley Neighborhood Council as well as my colleague in the field. So
Great.
we are continuing to address this issue.
So to hear you, to make sure I hear you accurately, is you want to grant the appeal with conditions,
That's correct, sir.
and the conditions are directly related to the concerns raised by the folks who spoke today in public comment.
Indeed. We would like to grant the conditional use permit with conditions. The other issues regarding the park was informational for the community, on the record that the council office is responding to
Gotcha.
that separate issue.
So are the conditions written for the staff? Have the staff seen the conditions?
Yes, this has been discussed with both Mr. Kwan and Mr. Scott. They are aware of the change in conditions.
Okay, so are we comfortable, Dan, to move this forward?
Yes, Councilman.
Okay. All right, so with that, we have,
What are the conditions, though? What are the additional?
There are 28 conditions from the original staff report that granted approval, such as no cash would be exchanged on site. It would be voucher.
The additional conditions?
These are the 28 conditions from the original staff recommendation report, including such things as
But there are no additional conditions being submitted today.
No, we would be modifying the hours of operation, and we would be modifying
I see.
the
Okay.
plan approval.
Okay, that's fine.
okay. So that being said, we have a second?
That's second.
Okay, so we'll move this item to the council. Thank you, sir.
So the action was to grant the appeal with modified conditions, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to be clear, for item 1, Councilman, you adopted the motion and also requested the final letter to be ready when it goes to council.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Upon your advice, sir. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.